Hello, you. Yes, you, watching the video. I've run the numbers, and I've come to realize that there is great overlap between fans of Titania Fire Emblem and fans of Donkey Kong. I made a review of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It's a video I'm very proud of, and I put the link in the description because I would greatly appreciate it if you watched it before and or after this video. Thank you very much, and let's get to the Titania analysis. And also thank you for not just skimming ahead to when the video actually starts. You're a real one for that. Path of Radiance needs to escape its cubicle-shaped prison. I know I normally start videos with some kind of paragraph talking about the character, but in doing my research for this video, I remembered just how well written Path of Radiance is, and how fun its gameplay holds up, even if said gameplay moves as fast as Sonic the Hedgehog 1, in the Marble Zone, on Game Boy Advance. I'll accept a $60 port with nothing changed at this point. I'm that much of a slut for this game. I just need more people to be able to play it without resorting to selling crack. Oh, yeah, this video's about Titania.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
Titania appears at the very beginning of the game, as the second in command of the Grail Mercenaries, and her early characterization is very solid. She takes her job seriously, and is portrayed as very knowledgeable and respected, but she isn't such a stick in the mud that she has no sense of humor, as she's willing to tease the likes of Boyd for a sensible chuckle. She's not exactly breaking any ground right away, but she does have enough charm for the player to get attached to her very easily. And given the nature of how FE handles characters, a character for Fire Emblem needs to have a strong introduction, so enough people give a shit about them and learn about them. And Titania does that incredibly well. But with her solid introduction, it doesn't actually take that long for the story to give Titania a scene for herself too. After beating the crap out of some pirates, a local villager sees how much of a beast Titania is on the battlefield and says that she can do a lot better than just mercenary work. This sentiment actually pisses Titania off, and when Shannon and Gatry mirror the sentiment, Ike makes sure to tell her that her pride in her work is not misplaced, that sticking up for the little guy as a mercenary is something to be proud of. This scene works not just to show us Titania's moral compass being very strong, which is always likable, but it also shows her displaying a wider range of emotions instead of just the wise leader. Seeing her get pissed off over something helps her feel more fleshed out, like a real person, and thus, more players can find ways to connect with her, because getting pissed off at Shannon is kind of just the natural human condition. Players can also connect with her fantastic unit performance. Following in the footsteps of Seth from the last game is a big task, and Titania actually manages to more than rise to the challenge. FE9 really loves to give enemies lances, so any unit that can use an axe is favored a ton throughout the game due to the constant weapon triangle advantage and the consistent 1-2 range with hand axes. FE9 also gives its mounted units FE4 Canto, meaning that they can use their leftover movement after anything. So mounted units are kings of positioning on the battlefield, and Titania is right here, a mounted axe unit with good stats and good growths that you get at Chapter 1. So because of that, a ton of players used her in their playthroughs. Sure, she might not grow quite as well as the likes of Oscar or Kieran, but honestly, who gives a shit? Just use all 6 of the game's paladins. Like I was saying, use all 5 of the game's paladins. So, she has strong story presence and strong unit quality. And believe it or not, that strong story presence doesn't just instantly vanish after the start of the game, she stays relevant throughout it. Titania, alongside Soren, serve the role of the advisor to the Lord Ike, and as the game goes on, the two of them essentially act like Ike's little shoulder angel and shoulder devil. Titania brings up the morally correct option to do in a situation, even if it's logically suspect, while Soren brings up the logically correct thing to do, even if its morality is dubious in nature. I actually really like this dynamic, and it's handled quite well. Titania isn't cartoonishly stupid in her do-gooding, and Soren isn't cartoonishly evil in his pragmaticism. They complement each other very well. They do what a supporting cast should. They help the main character's growth and development, while still being entertaining in and of themselves. Another thing that I really like about Titania is I can say the sentence, "Titania is a strong woman character," and I don't have to add an asterisk to that statement. Fire Emblem writing women is a history of really high highs and really low lows. For every strong woman like Minerva, there is an Echoes Matilda CG. But Titania is a woman who's widely respected by everyone she talks to, has an important role in the story and in the world, and never suffers from any of the stereotypical bullshit women in FE deal with, like kidnapping. I'm not gonna act like Titania is the only strong woman in Fire Emblem to ever be respected by the writers, but I think she's definitely one of, if not the best, who also have a significant story presence, with moments like the Lion King Canicus himself respecting her battle prowess, which is pretty damn cool. Now, as for story scenes I want to talk about, Titania has two. The first one is shortly after Ike's dad Grail commits JRPG dad disease and dies. In the main story, Titania takes it pretty well. She has a moment of grief, but once Ike steps in, she's all business, pledging her loyalty to Ike and being there for him when he needs a helping hand the most. But there's a base conversation, where Ike hears someone outside during the night, and he finds Titania, crying her eyes out by herself, and Ike doesn't reach out to her. He just silently takes that in and leaves. This scene is only 3 lines, but there is so much you can glean from this. First, Titania's sorrow is very real. You completely understand why she's crying, and it shows another side to her that makes it very easy to sympathize with her. But the fact that she snuck out on her own is also very telling. She knows that she's the one Ike, Mist, Boyd, and the rest all look up to and respect. She knows she can't cry in front of them. She knows that if she breaks down, it will bring down everyone else with her. But she's still human. She just lost probably the most important person in her life, and she can't just hold in her pain. So she hides away where she thinks no one will see, so that she can put on that false bravado for Ike when she gets back. And Ike's response to just leave her there and not make himself known is telling to his own maturity and understanding. It's a fantastic scene for how brief it is. I also just realized I spent a minute and a half dissecting a scene that lasts for 5 seconds. What has become of my life? Titania's other character moment I like is late in the game. There's a scene where Ike explains some lore stuff about Grail and reveals he knows who killed him. Titania, upon learning Ike withheld this information for months, gets pissed, demanding he say who it is, likely because she wants to take revenge herself. But once she calms down, she and Ike talk about the night Grail died, and it's a scene where Ike is allowed to open up and be vulnerable with her, talking about the darkest day of his life. It works great to establish the trust the two of them have in each other. It makes Titania's speech at the end about Ike making sure he stays safe and flees if he has to feel less like a typical conversation that it is on paper, and more like a genuine moment between a man and the closest thing to a parent he has left. The conversation also serves a gameplay purpose of telling the player that if they don't like the Black Knight fight, they can just leave. They are legally not obligated to fight a boss that boils down to, does Ether or Wrath proc enough times for me to win? Just leave. Nasir will die, but who gives a shit? Tabarin's gonna be playable in 2 chapters. You'll live. So, Titania's strong story presence aside, she also has 4 support chains. Ike, Mist, Boyd, and Reese. All Grail mercenaries. She doesn't have an oddball support chain like Janeth Lucia or Oscar Tanith. Nah, it's just exactly people you would expect. But that doesn't mean that they're bad supports at all. Her Mist support is actually just a cute one that lets her and Mist breathe as characters and not go through any traumatic stuff. It's a very simple setup. Mist is overworking herself doing chores for the Grail mercenaries, feeling that she needs to be useful in any way she can, given, the horrors. But Titania intervenes and forces her to go on a shopping trip with her, buying her a new dress and telling her that she's always there for her if she needs her. Something about Titania that's never expressly stated is that, with Ike and Mist's mother dying young, Titania has kind of been the mother in their lives. So this reads as a mommy-daughter shopping date, which, given how bleak things are in Tellius, is a sweet breath of fresh air that shows a sweet and soft side to the two of them, and fleshes out their relationship in a very sweet way. Her support with Rhys is admittedly not really about her at all. It's mostly about Rhys and how he lived his life. It's a fantastic support, but it's not really a support to talk about in a video about Titania. The support I do want to talk about is the financial support you could be giving me right now. That's right, I have a Patreon. Going to patreon.com/FEMSPaint and pitching in as little as $3 a month can get you access to benefits, like getting your name called aloud on videos, and if you want to dish out $7 a month, you can get access to polls to decide future character analysis episodes. The current poll is a battle between FE6 characters. There are no votes on it yet because I completely forgot to put up a poll until I started recording this line for the Patreon shill, and then when I got to the part where I need to talk about how the poll is going, I realized that there was no poll. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Andrew Crockett, Benz Again, Dr. McBackstab, Fireman Lord, Great Riek, Hell on Heelys, Ichigo D. Camus, Jaeger Guts, Kenpachi, Shiro Uzumaki, Kiria, Mato, Kratos, Char Ansel, Frederick Sirius, Balsara Hakuman, The White Void, Despacito 2, Lysevening Vault, Mark the Valiant War Criminal, Morga Lorgan, Nevrix the Tourmaline Project Creator, Shen Lu, Percival Fredrickstein, Muso Klowski, Kai Rollo III, but you can call me Percy. God damn it, I'm a friend of that person. Why did you make that name so complicated? Step D, Tato, the world's most unironic 8.5 tail stand, Walmart greeter, your girl Olwen, Alexis Oveja, Brentendo 11, Drew Hack, Ginger, Gugu Gaga, Cornelia Mokers 92, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you all for your continued support, and let's get back to Titania. Her Ike support is the more serious one, delving into her history with Grail and how the two met. She was a knight in service to Crimea, and met Grail on an exchange program to the Legu Kingdom of Gallia, where they sparred, and he beat her ass worse than Axel does to Potemkin. But Titania didn't take the defeat lying down. She trained with him, refusing to stay weaker than him, and growing close to him through his training. She then met Ike and his not-yet-dead mother, and has been following Grail ever since. The support ends with Ike thanking Titania for everything she's done for him. It's a very tender scene that, again, shows how important Titania is to Ike, and shows a vulnerable side to both of them that does wonders for their characters. I've taken everything in my life for granted, and it was all possible because of you. My thanks is far too late in coming. It's not necessary, Ike. What I did because you loved him. Didn't you? Perhaps I'm wrong. Regardless, I stand here alive today because of you, and I still want to thank you for it. Had you not lent a helping hand, I would most likely be dead, and my father's life cut short as well. You helped to keep him alive until the Black Knight brought him down. You made his final years happy. Thank you. Oh, Ike, I don't... Unlike my father, I lack both experience and strength, but I'm learning. Please keep aiding and supporting me. Please. Of course I will, Ike. That was very soft and very sweet. Now it's time to laugh at Boyd's dumbass. The support starts normal enough, with Titania teasing Boyd about his training, and it's just a fun support that shows both Titania's playful side and Boyd's growth as a fighter. At the end of the support, though, Boyd confesses that he's fallen for Titania's kindness and beauty, and he proceeds to fumble the bag in quite possibly the funniest way he could. Because Boyd, while he is a grown man of 18, is still 12 years shy of the 30-year-old Titania. And when she brings this up by asking him how old he thinks she is, his response is, quote, "Well, let me see. Are you younger than my mother?" He then realizes how bad that sounds and immediately runs away, which is just really funny to me. And Boyd having a crush on Titania is completely dropped in Radiant Dawn, which is weird, because this is the same series where the 56-year-old Hanuman can knock up the 24-year-old Dorothea multiple times, the same series where Oswin in his 30s can marry the 17-year-old Sarah. Hell, Radiant Dawn is the same game with Micaiah and Soph and Jill and Har. The Boyd Titania, though, was deemed too much of an age gap. I'm sorry for Boyd, but that is just too goddamn funny. Speaking of Radiant Dawn, Titania returns in the sequel, but sadly for her, she is significantly less important in it. This is for two reasons. One, Ike isn't the main character anymore, he's a main character. Radiant Dawn shuffles between him, Micaiah, and Alencia throughout the game. So with Ike being the focus for only about a third, his supporting cast has less significance from the get-go. But even when Ike is the focus, Titania isn't really important anymore. The redhead for Ike's story is now Skamir, who has his whole little arc that takes place during Ike's screen time. So Titania just doesn't have the time to do anything. She's still around, but nothing in Radiant Dawn is really a Titania scene. Hell, not even a base conversation. She's still a powerful unit, but her time in the limelight ended when Path of Radiance's credits rolled. A shame, but sometimes it's okay to leave good enough alone. Titania stands out as a character that has literally everything you could ask for. A solid characterization that feels fleshed out and interesting to watch. A unit performance that packs a serious punch to please anyone who just plays Fire Emblem for the gameplay. She really is the complete package, and is one of Tellius's most beloved characters for a very good reason. Effie was on a roll, making incredible red-headed paladins back-to-back in Sacred Stones and Path of Radiance. Honestly, the series went downhill when the paladin after her was a brunette instead. I'm not saying Frederick's bad, but if you give him red hair, Awakening instantly becomes a 10 out of 10. Thank you for making it to the end of another character analysis video. We've made quite a few this year, and as always, these have been very fun to make. Thank you very much. I would like to thank my buddy Guy, but he didn't read the script again. He forgot for the Garcia video, he forgot for this one. What does he think I don't pay him for? Love you, Guy. Thanks for all your help. You might have noticed that this video is structured completely differently. No more still images of memes, going for a more traditional format. Doing the look-back videos gave me some confidence in myself to actually make videos like this, so I hope the end result was something you like. Please let me know what you thought of it. And if you enjoyed the video, consider joining my Discord server. You're looking at some stuff from it right now. We have fun in there a lot. I post about baseball a lot. People go into all kinds of side arcs. I think someone in my server died protecting trans people. I don't know what that arc was about, but it definitely happened. Consider coming in and enjoying the show. Until next time.
Change the world. My final message.